Who wants to host? Who's hosting? Anybody? Anyone?
I hosted the last. Well, I guess not tonight. That's airing. I hosted the one before, though. I think.
I guess I can take a swing at it.
Okay.
The main thing is go around the table. We each give our Sisyphean game for 2024. Talk it through, and then we go around the table again for what is your new game for
what we're picking. Okay.
Yep.
And we're stretch goaling. I'm not going to do back to backs. I'm going to stretch goal it because God knows I'm going to be fucked if I don't stretch goal it. Okay. I even have an opening line and everything. So.
Oh, well, great. More prepared than I was.
It's all that milk.
Well, it is. I'm quoting cursive. I'm going to be quoting a cursive song. So whenever you're ready, Jake, you let me know.
Go for it.
We're just recording. I keep forgetting we're not going live. Okay.
All that conversation, all 4 minutes of that conversation was recorded right there.
Yeah. Well, at least part of it. Yeah, I saw him hit go.
The audio episode will be on. It'll have most of it will be on the audio episode because I caught it halfway through. That was good. That was good stuff.
The other ones.
Yeah.
It's clean. All right. Knocked clean, rolled over by the boulder of Sisyphus. Doesn't it get a bit repetitive? Over and over and over again. Today on.
Don't push a boulder up the hill over the intro.
That's right. There's no music theme on this.
Keep rolling up that hill.
There it is.
That's Sisyphean, right? Not syphilis.
It is.
That's the whole of the show.
Did I say syphilis?
No, it is not a It is not a Syphilisian challenge. No.
Syphilitic challenge. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's the Canadian lore of the burning instead of the pushing. Guys, welcome everybody, one and all, for our now. This is a lore. This is now Press B lore that is now forever in the echoes of time of the Sisyphean game discussion that the 4/5 of us, when GP is not totally grinding his face into the ground with all of the hard work he's been doing. We love you and miss you, GP. But the four of us have things to talk about. It's the end of the year. We have given ourselves, for those of you who are new to the channel, I'll of course introduce everybody. But first, I want to explain the lore of the Sisyphean challenge. The Sisyphean challenge came up basically Sinistar, my first introductory into Press B. We decided that there are games out there that we should have beaten, that there's something that we should have tackled in our youth into our adulthood. We've played Mario, we've played Doom 3, we've uninstalled, reinstalled, uninstalled, and reinstalled Street Fighter 6.
We'll get there.
We've played all kinds of different games. Final Fantasy 6s, Chrono Triggers, things like that. Things that we have played that we spun off of, and we were like, why haven't we beaten these games? So today will be an episode of us discussing the games that we selected at the beginning of the year, if we've beaten them, because if we haven't beaten them, Jake has designed this wonderful contraption known as the Wheel of Pain, which will be lowered down in the middle of the show, and we will select one of many games that can be played, i.e. Buck Bumble, i.e. Dragon's Lair on the NES, which someone has an achievement on. Just saying.
Look, I badged that thing.
Sonic CD, was that one of them? Or no, Sonic 06. Sorry, Sonic 06 was one of those games out there. Yeah. So games like that, wonderful games that we totally want to play. So we're trading in games that we want to play to try and finish for games that we don't want to play to try and finish. But of course, I can't do this alone. No, that's not true at all. I have to have my friends with me to discuss this wonderful topic. So with me, as always, are three of the best human beings in the world. Only one of them is sitting out for tonight. Gentlemen, Werewolf, how are you doing this evening?
I am quite well. Looking forward to getting into what I played and what I will be playing. Excited.
I'm excited to hear what you pick. You always got some good stuff coming up. And Sinistar, my friend, how are you?
I am doing very well. I'm enjoying the new digs. I have not brought my streaming rig over to the other side of my office yet, which is where I'll have the wall and all of that stuff. So now you get just the bare bones, ugly. But real quick, I wanted to clarify one thing. the challenge is not about games that are hard necessarily.
Fair.
The not beating it is for whatever reason, whether you couldn't beat it because it was a challenge or you bounced off of it because it just didn't click.
Well, hard is the thing that just comes to mind because of Mario and 8-2. Speaking of 8-2, Jake, how are you,
That's
sir?
I love
I don't
Mario
even know
1.
how that's a
Mario 1
segue.
works for me. Mario 1 is great. That's not hard. Battletoads is hard, like I did 2 years ago.
I don't know what you're talking
And when
about.
I decided to make it warpless because I'm stupid. But no,
You're
you're
not
right. It isn't,
stupid. We just listened to your friends.
but you're
And
that's
they're
true.
stupid?
Heavily influenced
Yeah,
by
they're
people on this
stupid.
podcast. They're stupid. Yeah, okay. No, but you're right. It doesn't have to be hard. It's the game you always feel like you should have beaten, whether it's that personal challenge or a challenge of others, or just a game that you feel like you missed out on. So is this our third year doing this?
This will be our fourth selection.
Fourth
year.
This
Fourth
will be
year.
our fourth
Right.
selection.
I'll tell you, it's hard.
Wow.
It's hard thinking of Press B without this tradition because it's been such a fun thing to do, and it's at least knows that I'm going to at least give an honest try to be one game every year is nice because I have that analysis paralysis when it comes to gaming. So I always look forward to this each year with Press B. This is awesome. 4 years.
We even gave Jake a gimme this year. We were a council of very divine, would I say? There's divinity.
Yes,
There was some
yes.
apropos.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're a charitable
we were just
bunch.
really nice.
Yeah,
We were very
We'll
charitable.
do my pick later. You're a charitable bunch.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Words are
this
hard.
when we get to Jake. It's I agree
Adjectives
we
are
were
hard.
charitable. I will agree we were charitable, but we'll get there.
Sure. I just wanted to use big words because we're
Yeah.
not using umbrage tonight, so we got to move on from that one.
It's a cornucopia of charity.
There it is. We are cornucopious of all things.
Full 3
Anyways,
bags of charity. 4
guys-
liters of charity
all hanging fat in
1.33
the middle.
liters per bag.
for each of you. Yes, you each gave
One-
1.33
gallon of
liters
charity.
of charity to Jake
Just
this
about a gallon of charity.
1.05 gallons of
just under
charity.
you.
Spilling it in our awkward gallon containers. Anyways, if you listen to the end of the podcast, you'll probably catch all of that conversation and understand most of it.
Might be on
But
the beginning,
anyways,
I don't know.
Or the beginning, yeah.
or
Somewhere,
well, it depends on where Jake channels it in.
yeah, bookend it somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Anyways, we'll get to the fat and saggy part of the middle of this conversation and dive right in. So, so we're going into year 4 of the Sisyphean challenge. Year 1 saw games such as Bloodborne, Battletoads,
Super Mario.
some other games that we played. Super Mario 1. Wolf, what did you play your first year?
My first
Final
year was Fester's
Fantasy.
Quest.
Oh, that's
Fester's
right.
Quest. That's right. God, that was trash. And then he got booed. He got silently stabbed in the back by his own kin, who told him that he was not allowed to play the PAL person.
My wife was like, "That's
kid.
not what you said."
Yeah.
And so I got hosed.
So hosiery was had. And then the following year we played such wonderful games as Doom 3, and some other shit.
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger was great. Final Fantasy 6 was played as well by Wolf. And Jake, he probably tried to play Battletoads again. I don't remember, but he didn't do a very good job at that.
No.
He didn't. But it's all right. We still love him regardless. So this year 3, we start with our selections. And who wants to go first with their pick and discuss what made you spin off of it the first time, and why were you so driven in firing that thing up?
We're doing the game we did this year, or the
Yeah.
pick that we're
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I can
Why
go
did you why did you fall off of it? What made you want to come back to it? And then how did you feel after you either finished it or fell off of it again? So Wolf, why don't you tell us what you selected, why you didn't like it at first, and how you feel about it the second time through?
Okay, so I picked Okami. Now, this is a game I actually bought for the PS2 back when. I pre-ordered it for the PS2. Went in all excited to get it on release day. Even got the little, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like to do art with water on the little art board.
Yeah.
Can't remember what that board
Yeah,
is called,
yeah.
but it's kind of cool. Like I still have that somewhere. So I got that with the pre-order and everything. Took it home to play it. Nice. And fired it up. And I think the intro, I was just not feeling the intro at the time. Honestly, I was probably knee deep in World of Warcraft, which was part of the problem.
Fair.
And admitting you have a problem is the first step. So
We might have a similar problem with a similar game now, right now.
So that's why I don't play World of Warcraft anymore. But
Right.
I just didn't feel like sitting through the intro at the time. I was like, man, this intro is taking a while. I'm not feeling this. So I was like, I'll play it later. And then I never did. So
Real quick, I want to throw out there. This was very similar to my problem with Chrono Trigger, which was not this year but last year's pick for me.
Mhm.
That intro fair, I bounced off that so many times, and finally I had to essentially sit through it and get through it. So I get that.
Right.
I feel what you're saying.
I'll admit, because they
Yeah.
had the remaster that came out for Okami, I think a couple of years ago, if not like last year.
Mhm.
And I remember firing it up when I got it. It's like, oh God, because I just like you, Wolf. I went and bought the game with the Bradley guide and everything the day it was released. I got that with Shadows of Colossus, so there was a lot of juggling with that one
Nice.
between those two games. And when I fired it up just recently, I was like, yo, this is taking forever to get to the point. So
Seriously.
I can completely understand. I was like, I don't remember it taking this goddamn long to get to the game. When's the game start?
And unfortunately, that's one of my issues with the game. Let's start with the fact that I did complete it. I beat the game. Got a bunch of the unlocks, fired up the new game plus, just to see all the weird Okami skins you get.
Right.
Not Okami, what's her name? Amaterasu. The
Yeah.
Amaterasu skins. So you got like a pit bull and a corgi and a
Mhm.
green wolf and a realistic looking wolf that looks completely out of place with the art style. But first off, like I did beat it. The art style, I absolutely love the art style
Yeah.
in this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely gorgeous. There were points where I'd be playing, and I played this pretty much exclusively on my Steam Deck. There were points where I'd just like stop and look at the backgrounds and stuff and just see the really cool painting style of like you just see the
Yeah.
outline of the mountains and the skyline. And it was
Right.
really neat. I really love
I
that.
I kind of call it like watercolor cell shading.
Yeah,
That's how I
yeah.
call it.
That fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. I also I really like the character designs as well. They're all fairly interesting looking. Particularly Amaterasu, like they made that wolf really emotive. Even
Mhm.
though she doesn't emote a ton, when she does, it's very obvious and it's kind of cool.
Right. Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite things about the story of the game is the fact that Amaterasu is very much disinterested in Isun's shit,
Mhm.
right?
The
So
comic
like
relief.
the comic relief there is really hit and miss for me. The storytelling of this game, it tried to straddle the line between Legend of Zelda and Mystical Ninja.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's actually a really good
Well, because
analogy.
it tries to be off the wall, silly, a little bit pervy the way Mystical Ninja does, and it also tries to be really serious and dramatic the way Zelda does.
Mhm.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
when it really dives into one really heavily, it does a good job. But when it's trying to ride the line back and forth, it just misses the mark. And you end up with a character that's kind of cringy, just saying more than he needs to say and not saying much at all at the same time.
Mhm.
That was my biggest issue with this game is the amount of dialogue that gets so little point across. And then there's points where you can hit the button and make the dialogue box fill up real quick. But there's also points where you can't do that. It has
Yeah.
to be at the game's pace.
Right.
And I don't understand why they did that. It was kind of frustrating. There were actually chunks of the game where the story just did not do it for me, and I would straight up skip those segments, like the
Right.
dialogue. I'm like, I don't care. I know what's happening. And then
Right.
there were points where I was like, "Oh, this is cool," and I
Mhm.
was hanging on every word. So
Nice.
that was kind of my issue. Mechanically, the game was great. I loved the mechanics. I do wish the game was a little bit more delineated from what it is, because it's a pretty linear game.
Sure.
Okay.
And by that, I don't just mean like, go from A to B to C to D. It's like in Zelda, A to B to C to D is like all sorts of different directions, sometimes
Yeah.
passing through A to get to
Right.
E or something. Okami is very area 1, area 2, area 3, area
Right,
4, area
right.
5, area 6 until the tail end. And then it's like, oh yeah, back by area 1 is area 9.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
How long is this game?
There's a lot of
How many hours?
It's longer than you would expect. It took me about 50 hours.
Oh, really?
That's another weird
Yeah.
thing, is because
Yeah.
it's
the
a
big
chunk of
setup,
change.
they said they spend so much time at the beginning of the game setting up the story, and that arc ends about 8 to 12 hours in.
And then you got another
And then you're
42
just
hours to go.
Yeah, and then you're
So-
on like a whole different seemingly adventure. And there are points where there are plot points that don't really make a whole lot of sense. You just kind of have to take it for its word and be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's Amaterasu from 100 years ago. She's here now. Why? You didn't explain
Yeah,
how she
right.
got here. Why she's here? Nothing. But
Just kicking
okay.
it. She decided that she was coming back from getting milk and just decided to stop by.
Yeah.
Wow,
The
he was
boss
here, so-
fights, most of the boss fights were not super interesting. There were a couple that were, and a couple that were just kind of meh. The last boss was pretty cool though. Not difficult, but cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
I love
It
the
was a lot
combat
of
in this game.
fun.
I thought it was really neat. I like the use of the beat 'em up style, and then the characters fade, and then you bring in the paintbrush to do,
Yeah,
to
you like
slice them or to
pause the
circle
mechanics to
them.
like draw
Yeah.
something in,
I thought
bomb
that was
them
really
or blow them
Yeah.
away, stuff like that. Different enemies require different brush techniques to
Now
do stuff.
drawing on a controller, not the
I
funnest thing to
kind of
do in
got
the
the
world.
hang of it. There
Yeah.
seemed like there were a couple that didn't want to recognize all the brush strokes. Like there's one that you have to do 3 horizontal brush strokes. Sometimes
Right.
it wouldn't recognize
Okay.
them or only recognize 2 for some reason. But
Right.
other than that,
Yeah.
I thought it did a really good job. You would think the paintbrush with the controller is weird. You kind of get the hang of it pretty quick, and it becomes not such a problem.
Nice.
So I played
Okay.
this. When did the HD remaster come out?
I want to
don't know.
say 2018, 2019, something like that.
Okay, so that's when I played this, because I bought the remaster. I had a copy on my PS2. It was legal. And I tried it, but just like Charred, I had Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
And
They came out like the same
yeah.
day.
And
Yeah.
so, but when this came out on the HD remake on Steam, I played this, and I quite enjoyed it, but I definitely remember the linear factor. I mean, it was like, it was not hard to progress the game to the next area, because all you did was just drive forward, right? Like, it was,
For the most part, there was one
Yeah.
point where I was trying to figure out where to go, and it took me 6 hours to figure out how to get to the next step.
gotcha.
Okay,
Gotcha.
that part sucks. Did you guys ever play? For those who played Okami, did you play Bayonetta? Are they similar at all? Because it's the same
Yes.
director.
I played Bayonetta, yes.
Is Okami and
Actually, I just
Bayonetta
recently
similar?
finished.
I
There's
don't think
there's a
they're
little
anything
bit of
alike.
no, they're not
okay.
at all within, but I think if you take away the watercolor look to Okami and give it just a cell shading kind of look, I can definitely see a correlation between the artwork between Bayonetta and
Okay.
Okami, to be honest with you. But what makes it unique is obviously its watercolor finish over the game, make
Yeah.
it look like a painting, which makes it stand out a bit. But I just recently replayed and beat Bayonetta not too long ago, so I can visually see the two kind of stand out together a little bit. So that would make sense. But that's probably where the lewd conversation comes from between
Well,
Sisyphean and Bayonetta, because they're both pretty
I
lewd
mean,
games.
the game is very much a product of its time.
Oh yeah.
The storytelling, like all the comic relief is soon being a pervert, being a little horn dog, right?
Yep.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's this priestess you come across who has a rather well-endowed chest, and he like talks to her like, "Oh yeah, you and your two friends," and it's like, "Oh my god, come on, dude."
I find it interesting
Yeah.
because the director of Okami is Hideki Kamiya. I'm probably saying that very wrong, but he is the
Hideki
guy.
Kamiya?
He was at Capcom for a while, also at a subsidiary called Clover, eventually Platinum Games, and he did Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, Bayonetta, and then The Wonderful 101. So he's got a fun mix of not odd games, but definitely I think IP that is outside the norm. So I mean, Okami was always on my list of games I wanted to check out. So I'm glad you played it and mostly enjoyed it. 50 hours is a bit much for me though, but I just find it interesting that this is one of his games that are just kind of off the wall. And I think it's funny because I think it was a couple weeks after you beat this, Kamiya announced he's leaving Platinum Games and basically rebuilding the Clover Studio, calling Clovers, and he's making the sequel to Okami in a couple of years. I think that's pretty awesome.
Nice.
So
That
it's
is
kind of
cool.
neat that you played it now because you might want to check out the
Yeah.
sequel in a few years.
Right. No,
Yeah.
Okami's a
Yeah,
great
watching
game.
the Game Awards, all of a sudden there's a reveal of, "Hey, look, Okami Okami sequel," and I was like, "Well, all right then, maybe
You're all set.
this one will be more up my alley, given the storytelling type and mechanics
Right.
changes and stuff."
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
have
But
it,
I'm glad I
was-
finally played it.
This was
Mhm.
2006. This is almost a 20-year-old game at this point. So,
Right.
So,
you know,
like I said, product of its time. Right. So,
Yeah, it's been
well,
since 2006 was the last time I think I fired it up outside of the HD remaster that I have.
good pick, and I'm glad you finished it. Keep that wheel out of here, Jake.
There would be
I'm
no
not going to
wheel.
lower the wheel. Spoilers, because I don't. It broke.
Yeah. This
So
year
if
we
we
made
need
it.
to, we're going to go to the ye old Google and spin a wheel. But we'll see what happens.
All right.
Don't think we're gonna need to this year though. All right. Who wants to go next?
Sure.
All right. So start
All
with you,
right.
bud.
Well, I think if you've been a long time listener, at least a listener for this last year, you're not going to have any. This is not going to be a surprise to you. We also did an episode on this. I played
Bard's
through.
Tale.
Yeah, it was Bard's Tale 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
With the stretch goal, the Bard's Tale construction set, I had to recreate Bard's Tale 1, 2, and 3 in the Bard's Tale construction set.
Bard's Tale RPG
And then
Maker.
do it warpless. Yeah.
And do it
Get diamond
warpless.
rank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem
And you
is,
even got the badge.
the problem is I ran into 8-2 in Bard's Tale, and man,
Yeah.
no.
So close to badging that Bard's Tale game.
I played Tunnels, the video game.
Tunnels.
No, so my game for 2024 was The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And my goal was not to be a completionist. My goal was not to get every achievement. My goal was to play this in a leisurely fashion and play it at least through completion of the DLCs. And I didn't go for any extra endings, but I did. I mean, I played the hell out of this. I played this for 120 hours.
That's yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
That is.
There was probably 3 hours total in that I was frustrated or not feeling it, or getting ready to bounce off of it. I did almost bounce off of the first DLC, but I did complete this. Spoiler alert. No, honestly, the only struggle that I really ran into is and this is a little bit of a spoiler, I'm sorry, but when you start the second DLC, or the first DLC, you've built your character, you've built up all of your abilities, you've got the armor set, you've got the weapon set, etc. And then they're like, strip down and you fight a wizard as like naked Geralt, not naked, but almost naked Geralt, right? And I very nearly I died more times on that fight than I did in like any of the boss fights in the main game. So it very nearly bounced me off. I'm going to give another little spoiler. If you do decide to play this, all of your armor and stuff is in your inventory. I didn't know this.
So you just re-equip
Nice.
it again.
You can just re-equip it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah. So
you
well,
did it hard mode, and you didn't need.
well, the story is you were stripped down for a reason, right? And
Right.
so, like, I figured incorrectly that at some point it's going to be like, hey, I'm going to recollect my gear later, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Gotcha.
Well,
then I'm
they
like,
did that
where
in the
the
second
fuck?
game, so you're not wrong. They've done that before, right?
Right.
Yeah. So seriously, I'm like, where the fuck is my gear? After I'd finally beaten that damn wizard, I'm like, where the hell's my gear? And I actually went to Google and they're like, it's in your inventory. I'm like,
Thanks.
They
Thanks,
gotcha.
Witcher.
yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. Now, okay. So we've talked about this, ad nauseum. There's an episode, but real quick recap. There are very few side quests in this game that don't have a little cool story to them.
Yeah.
Every aspect has value, whether it's, building the armor sets or doing the alchemy or, etc. Right. I mean, every piece of it has value. And you really do need to use it. The world is super expansive and super fleshed out. Like I've played some, like, okay, I'm gonna throw Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion under the bus a little bit here. There's a lot of that world that's just, hey, look, I'm running around. Oh, look, it's a bear. I can go kill a bear, right? Like there is so much fleshing out of the Witcher's world that it is awesome. It is outright awesome. So go watch the episode on it. I love that game. I'm going to tell everybody in the world to play that game. I've heard so many people that say I bounced off of the Wyvern quest at the beginning, which is the first like main quest area. Just get past it and get into the world. It opens up at 100 hours. It's great.
That wyvern fight is basically the closest you're going to get to tutorial in The Witcher 3 anyway. Like it's the beginning of the game. I'm so glad you played this. Like Sinistar, this as I've said before in that episode at length, it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's definitely up that top of that list. To me, Witcher 3 is along the lines of Deus Ex, Link's Awakening. Like it's so good to me. I love this. Mass Effect. I love this game. I'm glad you played it. I'm glad you played the DLC because the DLCs to me is some of the best DLCs, to the point where I'd even call it an expansion, like we used to get with CRPGs back in the 90s and early 2000s. They're such a well done expansions, and that last one, Blood and Wine, ends Geralt's story so well. It almost got to the point where when I was watching the TV show, I get a little upset because I'm like, his story is done. I don't need to see any more of Geralt. I want something new. Like when they finally announced the sequel to this coming out in a few years, and people watch the trailer with Ciri, and I'm like, yes, I'm all in on Witcher. I can't wait to see what they do with it. CD Projekt Red, for all the some of the bullshit they've had over the last few years with in terms of polishing, to me, Witcher 3 was the game that was just basically perfect. I love the hell out of that game, so I can't wait to see more of that in a few years.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is a game you guys have been telling me to keep playing, and one of these days I'll sit down and do it. Probably select a year that distance itself from somebody else playing it to fire it up myself. So
there are so many cool characters in this game. Like honestly, the dwarf, I can't remember the name of the dwarf, but the dwarf that's your friend, he's
Zoltan, I think his name is.
Zoltan. Oh my gosh, that whole thing, like it's
Zoltan.
just yeah. Well, and it's funny because so we also joke because Gwent, right? And Zoltan wants you to get him Gwent cards, and so and
I already
Jake,
hate it.
well, I was no. It's actually pretty clever how they do it. Yeah. But like every time Zoltan would be like, play Gwent with me, I'm like, there was no actual fuck off option in the game, but I'd be like, fuck off, I'm done with you, Zoltan, and I'd walk off. Like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Witcher 3, big time winner. Nobody spins the wheel. We finished it.
We're
finished
2
all
for
of
2
it.
on recent sequel announces as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. No kidding. think I'm the only one that may not have an announcement that goes with mine. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
'Cause,
Oh, is Street
even
Fighter
Jake-
7 coming out?
Yeah, no, Jake's pivoted game has an announcement coming out. Mine,
Am I going next then? Is that what you want to do?
Pivot!
I think
Shut
so.
up!
I think so.
All right.
Yeah,
so
we're
for
gonna.
mine,
Do you want me to do mine and then we can do yours, or do you?
No,
want,
let me
since
just do
mine's
mine.
A little more casual.
I can't
Okay,
take the complaints, the joking about the bagged milk, and now.
Hang on,
pick is
I'm going to
256.
install. I'm going to install and beat
Yeah.
Jake's game real quick. Hold on.
Yeah,
Swear to God, when you do
it
that
showed
Steam
up on your
recap,
year in play.
when Sinistar was saying, "I've got my Steam recap," I swear to God, if I saw that Street Fighter 6 was on your list higher than mine, I would have fucking quit the podcast. So I picked initially, and we'll get to why in a minute. I initially picked Street Fighter 6. Why? Because I like fighting games. I'm just bad at them. The only fighting game I got really decent at recently was Guilty Gear Strive, and I liked Guilty Gear, but I always wanted to be better at Street Fighter, and that goes back to being as a kid. I was a Mortal Kombat kid. I was a Marvel vs. Capcom guy. Street Fighter kind of eluded me in the way the normals work and in the distance. It's a different game, right? I was always that idiot that kept jumping to attack, which is not how you play Street Fighter. So I wanted to get good at a Street Fighter game, and Street Fighter 6 came out. It was really good. It's actually a really solid game. Did a hell of a lot better than 5 and 4, as far as I can tell. And it had a story campaign, which the little of it played of it at the time was pretty interesting. I mean, it's not NetherRealm good for story, but it was decent.
4 was actually good.
Was 4 okay?
genuinely
Okay.
good. Yeah.
But 6, like 5, I think dropped the ball huge. But 6 was definitely well received. So I'm like, all right, I'll play 6. And then of course, me being me, the previous year I decided, Battletoads, and that's not hard enough, so I'll make it warpless. I said, well, I can't just do Street Fighter 6 as my Sisyphean game. I'll beat that in a fucking week. No, I'll make it Street Fighter 6, but I have to get, I don't know, diamond rank. I pulled a rank out of thin air, not realizing it was like the 3rd highest tier online. And people who play fighting games online, spoilers, are really good at fighting games online, and that's what they do. And that's all they do. So, yeah, it wasn't that it was too difficult of a challenge. It's just that I would install the game, I would get a few matches online, I would get utterly trounced and defeated, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm okay. And I always kept meaning to come back to it. It's weird because the year prior when I was doing Battletoads, I would play Battletoads. I was at the point where toward the end of the year, I was playing Battletoads every day, at least one run. But when it came to Street Fighter 6, losing online is just utterly crushing when it's so badly done. I need a lot of practice in that game. And I do play it occasionally. We joke, but I do install that game at least once a month. And I give it a few rounds. I'll do a little bit of the story. And then I usually uninstall it because it's huge. And there's other games I want to install at the same time. So, yeah, I bounced off that game really, really hard.
When did fighting games become so ridiculously big? The new Mortal Kombat is like 150 fucking gigs.
It's huge.
Yeah, well, games in general are huge. They don't compress audio like they used to,
Mm.
and I think they throw in a lot of high-res textures, even though the people who are playing 4K res are very few and far between, and it should be an optional download, and they don't. But games are now ridiculous. I wouldn't even say how bad Warzone and Call of Duty, the recent Call of Duty were. It's ridiculous. When they hit 200 gigs, I think it should be a crime. But yeah, Street Fighter 6, not as big as that. But
shit, man.
I would uninstall it all the damn time, and I liked it a lot. And I could have probably done it, but the grinding of the battles, and I've had a really rough year, so trying to play a game like that was pretty awful for me. So I'm like, all right, fine, Wheel of Pain, unless I can maybe switch it. And I don't really like the idea of switching a game, but it's just a game I bounced off immediately. Like I think within February rolled around, and I was done with it.
You didn't get very far.
No, I was like, I'm good. So I asked you guys, and you guys are like, you know what? Okay, we'll let Jake pick a different game, which I appreciate. And the game you guys let me switch to, a baby's game really, was Elden Ring. A Souls game. How many Souls games have I beaten in my lifetime? Fucking zero.
But we added the extra bonus that something had to be done in this game for us to count it as a switchable and allowable game. We didn't just let you finish it. You had to do something extra. So go ahead, and that way when people listen to this, they're like, you just let them play Elden Ring. That's not cool. Okay, whatever. But we're like, no, you have to do something to finish it for us to count it as a win.
Yeah, and I had to beat
pretty good.
Millennia. That's only like the hardest boss in the game ever. Completely optional, by the way.
Until the
Second
DLC.
Until the DLC. Yeah, I debate Melania. So here's the thing about this game. I'm glad I played it because I I know we joked the year before because I think it was your game of the year last year, Chard.
Yeah.
I do like Elden
It's
Ring
his game of the year every year.
every year.
It should be.
Deserves to win every year. The Game Awards too.
It does.
I'll add.
Absolutely. It's the best
But
game
I
ever
do
made.
like Elden Ring. I love like the Dark Souls. I appreciate Dark Souls, but the nature of the fact you can't really grind out or explore as much. Elden Ring is this massively huge map, and the joy I get from Elden Ring was the exploration. It was almost like playing Link's Awakening or Ocarina of Time for the first time. You have this huge open map. You can go anywhere and explore. That's what Elden Ring is. Just add on a whole shit ton of bosses that kick your ass hundreds of times. That's the
in the middle of everything.
Yeah,
Literally
so
in the middle of everything.
But like, I mean, and I was pretty good. I didn't really look up guides. I didn't really look up where weapons were. I kind of just ran with what was dropping, explored a shit ton, especially the first few zones. I know you can beat that game by only killing 2 of the bosses really, and then rushing. I didn't do that. I beat every boss in the game, even the optional ones. I beat Moog and I beat Millennia. So I did pretty much a whole clear. I did not do the DLC bosses because that came out during this year.
Yeah,
I did play the DLC. It was fun, but I didn't want to commit to beating that because I saw Char beat the final boss in that game, and that was rough. I forget how many times I died to Melania. Like I beat the game no problem. The final boss, the Elder Beast, I think maybe 3 times I died on that thing, a giant whatever the hell elephant thing, ethereal elephant that flies through the air. He was easy. I had no issue, especially because when I played, they had patched it so you could use Torrent the horse in that battle.
Yep.
So I just.
So did you really beat it?
Yeah, well,
did you really
right.
beat it?
So I should. You're saying I need to do for 2025. I need to
I'm
reinstall
gatekeeping
no
you now.
patches. Gatekeeping. It's funny because like when I first
I don't know
played
if I'm
Elden
counting
Ring,
that.
when I first played the game, when it first came out, when you're playing it, I beat Radon pre-patch, so I have some kind of street cred. Post-patch, he was a hell of a lot easier. Even I said that he was super easy compared to when I played at launch. So patches make a difference, but no, so that battle's fine. But Melania was freaking brutal. The damage she does, the attacks she does, she counters everything, and then to top it off, when you get to the halfway point,
second stage, man.
Second stage is awful. Like she just right from the get go, she dive bombs you, and you die instantly unless you learn the trick of running forward and dodging. But that battle is punishing. And I tried everything.
She's stealing life the whole time.
Every time she hits you, she gets life back. So, or your mimic, it doesn't matter. As long as she makes contact with something, she gets life back.
Yeah,
it's awful.
No, it's a brutal fight. It's a brutal fight.
Yeah, and like I didn't have the mimic at the first time. The first few times I was fighting her because I accidentally stumbled onto her when I was exploring. Didn't have the mimic. I'm like, I can't do this. So I went and did another 20 hours of playing the game, and then I came back to her and I had the mimic at that point. Still got my ass kicked. I'm like, all right, well, let's rethink my build here. Maybe katanas aren't the game. Maybe Moonveil's not good enough of a weapon. So I went and got another weapon I found and did another build. And I think I went through 8 respecs. I ran out of tears. I went to hunt larval tears. I had to look up where they were because I ran out so many of them. And I tried many, many different builds and constantly try and throw different things at her. It does not matter. The only way to beat her is just get good. Like you just need to learn the patterns and dodge. And that's what it is.
See, I like the way that Jake is calculated in his playthrough of Elden Ring, where he was like, well, this build clearly did not work. I'm going to go make another build and come back with a different build.
This is not how Chard plays.
This is not how I play it. I play it until that fucking build works. I don't care. I don't leave. I don't go get larval tears. I don't respec. Although Sinistar is yelling at me to fucking respec every 10 minutes. Never respec.
Didn't you respect the blood at one point for her? I thought. No,
we respect earlier because I wanted to be a mage, but not specifically for her. It was just, let's do magic because I've never really done a magic build before. And we're here, so let's try it. And it turned out to be fucking OP.
Oh, magic's crazy.
With the arcane and the magic, it was sick. But she was still tough as hell.
There's a term that we use, and it's chard-headed.
Yeah,
he's chard-headed.
Until it works.
Chard played Elden Ring the way my dad would play video poker. Just keep doing it until you win. Eventually, the machine will pay out.
Until you're broke. Yeah.
Just press the deal button harder.
That's strategy.
Okay. Story time. Legit story. I was a kid. We lived in Vegas. I was 4, maybe 5. And my mom and dad would leave me sitting on a couch. They'd pay a waitress to keep an eye on me, and they would go out and watch for somebody who had sunk a bunch of money into a video poker machine and hadn't won. So they'd be eyeing people playing. And then once that person would get up and walk away, they'd be like, they sunk a lot of money in that machine. Let's go play that one until it wins. And they would sink $600 to $800 before they won 15 to $2,000, but that's what they would do.
You know that there's an actual name for this fallacy, right? It is literally called gambler's fallacy.
But that's what they did for us to get by for like 4 months.
Wow.
I'm glad it worked for him.
Well, I have Elden Ring's fallacy apparently, because that's
It's
or just Soulsborne fallacy.
Well, to be fair, this was back when the machines weren't all networked across state lines and stuff
that's
either.
true.
So
That's true.
Right.
I don't know.
there weren't a whole
Elden
lot
Ring
of mini
is-
prices around.
So I mean, ultimately, I'm going to say Elden Ring. It is a fantastic game, and I have a lot of appreciation now for it, to the point where I've done a couple runs with the randomizer. There's a awesome mod that randomizes if you want bosses and enemies, or what I like is the item randomizer. And there's a slider, so you can kind of change it so it's random but not crazy. Like you're not going to get Moonveil off the first corpse you kill, right? So it's an awesome mod. I want to go back to it. I was waiting for it to get updated with the DLC, because the DLC is something I would like to eventually go through, but I gotta take a break. But after beating Elden Ring, I looked at the rest of the Souls games, and I'm good. I really like Elden Ring, but it's not because it's a Souls game. It's because of everything else. It's the atmosphere, the lore, even if it is on item descriptions. The bosses are so many, the exploration, and the music is just epic.
Listen,
yeah.
I got 3 books, bingo, right there
Yeah.
that explain the entire story. So
At least a dozen items right there. Yeah.
Well, and this is also the first. This is also the first Soulsborne that has a version of accessibility through the summons, right? Like you can drop your difficulty if you want by going and getting different summons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like magic,
There's
like Chart
definitely
said, OP, right? It's totally a viable tactic in this to do spells. I know in the other Souls games there are spells, but I think they're not quite as strong as they are in Elden Ring. It's definitely a fun build. So yeah, it's just a more approachable Souls game, and I would love to see them make a sequel to this, like really bad. But I think the Miyazaki, is that what his name is? He's come out and said they'll never make a game as big as Elden Ring ever again, because it's so huge.
But they will make a roguelike randomizer called Night Rain that's coming out in a few fucking months.
That's also multiplayer, right?
It's going to be a multiplayer,
it's either 3-player
run
or 1-player, but not 2-player.
Yeah. And it's going to be almost as fast as Sekiro is what they're saying. They're they're using the same kind of speed as Sekiro. And your builds don't come. There's no armor really that you're looking for, weaponry. You pick a character and you do these runs, and it's just you just fly through the game instead
like
of
a hero shooter, but
collection.
Elden Ring, I guess is kind of the thing.
I
still want to check it out, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be Elden Ring, and I wonder how many people are going to be upset that it's not Elden Ring.
Yeah,
that's just Elden Ring adjacent, I guess.
The fucking nameless king is in the goddamn game from Dark Souls 3.
Yes,
Dark
for
Souls
sure.
3.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
people are upset that Elden Ring was the idea that you didn't have to hammer your face into a brick wall before being a boss. You could go explore something else. People didn't like that.
Yeah.
People didn't like the summons, like Sinister said. A lot of people say if you're using spells, if you're using summons, you're not playing Elden Ring correctly, which is absolutely trash opinion.
No, if you're doing that, you're not playing Dark Souls correctly, which is fine because you're playing Elden Ring.
We tell our kids, we tell our kids that they're like, oh, I found this method to like, cheese this thing, and I'm like, well, are you using mechanics that are in the game? Yes. Well, then the game provided the fucking mechanics.
Yeah.
As long as you're
That's how
not
I
cheating
played
the game
Messenger.
genie.
I cheesed so many bosses.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
in
name
the
of
game.
Yeah, it's in the game. It's fine.
It's like EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Well,
Elden Ring discourse is
good
definitely
pick.
a thing. Yeah.
Good pick.
And we are all in agreement that this is good enough. Your penance is good enough, Jake. Your sacrifice you are avoiding the chopping block this time around.
How many challenges have we done in Sisyphean can be harder than Millennia? Like that's got to be one of the hardest ones we've done. Like it's
8-2.
pretty brutal. 8-2.
8-2.
I beat 8-2 last week. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh,
Not a
Jesus.
problem. I love 8-2.
I did it on lunch break. I don't know.
Yeah,
Your
It
problem
did.
Jesus.
It did. There's-
I eat 8-2 for breakfast.
to say. I have an hour lunch, and it took me 15 minutes of it. Anyways. All right. Well, I guess that circles back around to me and my selection for this year. So Sinistar and I both had a lengthy discussion about our open world phobia, I guess you could call it.
Aversion.
In a
I
sense.
call it my aversion.
Yeah, the aversion to open world games, where we just get overly whelmed. So he and I we buddied up, we teamed up together and said, we're going to do an open world game together that we really wanted to play. His choice was obviously Witcher 3, which was much more massive than my selection. But I had played this game when I bought my PlayStation 4. It was one of the first games I bought. I fired it up. This game is spectacular. It's beautiful. But there's so much going on, and there's so many little green exclamation points that I was like, nah, son. I'm so sick of dealing with everybody's problems. I've got my own shit to deal with. So we kind of talked, and we came up with it's any way to just kind of get through it. It's do a couple side quests, then do a bunch of main quests, and do a couple side quests, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of now been my mantra for every time I try to do open world games, which includes the secondary version of this game that I'm currently playing on PlayStation 5. So to get into it, and it sucks that I couldn't have waited just a few more months, or we could have had a remaster of this game, and I could have played this with a better looking forehead.
All the foreheads.
There's a lot of forehead in this game. So I had to and wanted to and needed to play Horizon Zero Dawn. That was my game selection. And it quite possibly, if Silent Hill 2 remake hadn't dropped this year, this game would have easily been my game of the year. This game was fucking amazing. The story of this game by itself, the gameplay of this game could have been shit. And if I could have read a book or watched a movie of this game, the story is what carried this thing. But luckily, everything in Horizon Zero Dawn carried itself so well that it hit on all levels. Again, the only thing that bothered me was the kid's forehead at the beginning game. It's such a dumb thing, but it looks so unnatural. And for some reason, she looks sweaty all the time.
Look,
It was a PC thing. When they put it on PC, everybody was like, why is she so oily? Like,
look,
what the hell is her problem?
Look, she grew into her forehead, okay?
She did. She definitely grew into her forehead. It was much better. And after I was talking to Jake about playing Stellar Blade and then going into playing Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, I'm like, why can't they just make all like the heroine fighters look like Aloy? Because she looks like a badass.
Yeah.
100%.
It doesn't need any
It doesn't need to be tits and ass.
additions.
Yeah.
As
It
a word,
doesn't
yes.
need to be
Thank
tits
you.
and ass. Yeah.
And it's so like I'm not embarrassed to play this game in my living room like I was fucking Stellar Blade.
You're checking to
anyways.
make sure your wife's not in the room.
Oh, she goes, oh, that's a cute outfit. I'm like, make sure we keep it on the cute outfit. Keep it on the cute outfit. Don't take any other outfit.
No skin suiting for
So,
Aloy. No,
No
sir.
skin suit for me. No. So I wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn. I finished the whole Zero Dawn story, the Elizabeth Sobek, the Ted Faro villain, the Greek gods were the programs that were keeping all this shit together. What happened, what I really, really appreciated is you start this game with zero knowledge of what the hell's going on. Your character does too. So it's not like this person knows and you're just learning it through ever. She doesn't understand why these things are there. Why am I sorry? Sinistar hasn't played this game, so I'm going to spoil it for him, so that works. So, like, why are there giant robotic animals roaming this planet? And it explains everything so well that you're not like, well, that still doesn't explain why that's there. It's just so good. And it's actually like when you get Sinistar, I won't ruin anything for you, but when you get to the climax of the game, which is like halfway through it, and you realize what has happened to the world and why it's in the state it's in, it's actually like a gut punch to you.
It is. That reveal was like it makes you think and feel.
Yeah.
It was along the lines of like when I play a space game and I start thinking about just how big space is and just
Right.
how distant everything is and how hard it would be to maintain an actual society in a multiplanetary basis.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes you feel small and empty and weak like that.
Yes. Right. And the thing about it, and I think what really hit me, because I'm such a non-AI apologist of this whole thing, is that it sounds realistic enough to actually occur. Like
Yeah.
someone could do what has happened to this. And then like anyways, if I go, I'm going to go into spoilers. I don't want to ruin it for Synergy.
Yeah,
I
no,
could really
but
dive
I
deep.
mean, it was a plausible
Yeah, exactly. It's not
basis
some
for the story.
far-fetched Star Wars-y type galaxy far, far away so we can believe whatever happens. This is like, this shit could happen. Like someone could
Mhm.
fuck this up real bad and we would be left with this and it would suck. But I was so impressed that, I mean, the graphic design is beautiful. I call it J.J. Abrams game because there's so many goddamn lens flares in this game that it's blinding almost. There's points that even, because I'm playing Forbidden West, right? I was going to do a stretch goal and play Forbidden West, but I bounced off of that because there were other things that were out and I wanted to play those instead. And now that I have my PlayStation downstairs and I get up early with the dogs, blah, 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 nobody cares about my personal life. I have time to play it now. And I've been chunking through it. It's picked up. Like it's gotten really good again. And you're finding the different, I love the names of the programs because they're all like Greek gods or Greek relative gods like Demeter and
Yeah.
Poseidon and all those like Hades and that stuff. You're going after Hephaestus in the second one, and that's I want to like read them all up so I can like, why did they call it this? What, this person does this, so the god did this, so Demeter took care of the weather or whatever, or the plants or something, so they named that program after the one that monitors the plants in planet Earth. So I just thought it was some really cool spins on it. The stories are cool. The characters are really neat. There's not a lot of folk, like even the comedic characters, like Aaron. He's just this big dumb fucking Osaram fighter who drinks ale and fight shit, and he's learning how to play that stupid board game Strike, which is Forbidden Gwent as we called it, and he's like, well, I don't know much, but this fucking game with these little statues are really cool. This is fun. Like, it's just fun talking with him because he starts using the focus that she has, and the characters are interacting with the whole thing. But there's a really good bleed into Forbidden West bleeds into or Horizon Zero Dawn bleeds into Forbidden West really well. So it's a good spin into the next set of shit. But that's not the game I beat. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I would highly recommend. If anybody had started this up and couldn't finish it for one reason or another, and I'm one of those people, to just sit down, sit through it and play. This is my Witcher 3. Like, I wish I had done this sooner because it was so damn good and the story was so damn good and the characters were so full and perfect. And Lance Reddick, who's a character in this game, he played his character so damn well, and just the facial animations on everybody, Aloy's like reaction to stuff and just being completely unknowing. And kudos to the writers that wrote such a great story and turned it into such a great and fun experience to play in a game. Horizon Zero Dawn, hands down, one of the best games I played this year, easily.
Yeah, and on top of that, like most of the little extra content, like a lot of Elden Ring, you don't have to read mountains and mountains of text to get the lore. When they do a lore dump like that, it's usually voice acted.
Yep.
Right. Good.
Yep.
Sometimes it's an audio recording. Sometimes you get an actual like hologram in the world in front of you, which is super cool.
Right.
And like, I think there were only 2 types of those sorts of things that were not voice acted. And it was like when you find the vistas, is that what they were called?
Yes. Yeah. The view. Yep. But they were voice acted because whenever you'd line up the picture or you'd figure out the vista, a guy would talk and he would talk about like what he called the shippocalypse is what he'd always call it. Shippocalypse Day
Was it
25.
voiced? I thought it was.
Yes.
I thought I had to read it. If that was voiced
No, it
too,
was
wow,
voiced.
yeah. Then
Yeah,
they
he
voice
was
acted
he
all
was
of it.
talk.
Nice.
You would hear some guy talk about like the location that you used to be at. And
Yeah.
something he did there. Like, we used to come up here all the time. It was our special place to be. Now all this shit's happening and you're not here to be around to watch this happen with me. And like the Vista points were like this dude's separate story of going through what had happened on
Yeah.
Earth during that time.
And it's super
So
cool.
it was almost, yeah. So you're almost kind of like, oh God, like he's living it and telling you it as it happens. But then you
Mhm.
also get the picture of what it used to look like in like its heyday.
Yeah. Like a
When it was all
homestead
put
or
together.
something,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
Uh-huh.
like, damn, that was cool. Like there's an Air Force or airport or something out there, and you see the planes all just disheveled and shit. And then when you get to the Vista, you see this beautiful landscape and airscape and like big tower and all this stuff. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
I like futuristic stuff that's not that it's futuristic, but it doesn't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out it really is like futuristic for a reason.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
The best sci-fi is a sci-fi that's most relatable to the way you are today, right? Like if you can relate to a sci-fi world and story, then it's great sci-fi. And this is one of the best sci-fi stories I've seen in gaming for sure. Like I've been trying to avoid buying a PlayStation for years. I almost caved with the PS5 because of Horizon and the sequel that was coming out. I'm glad they're on PC. I will eventually play this because I love a good sci-fi story, and the little I watched you play was enough to have me looking up the wiki for some brief spoilers because I had to know, because the story is actually legit really good in this game. I think
it's so
is this being made into a TV show or something? I heard.
Yes, there's a rumor
Is
that they
it?
are making Horizon into a TV show, and
Nice.
I'm being
I'm all
told again,
for
a
it.
rumor. These are all rumors. Is that the actress that played Max in Stranger Things has been cast as Aloy for the main lead role.
That works. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, I think she'd be perfect for the role. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to if they actually make a live action. That's going to be pretty spectacular. I'd love to see a Thunderjaw like in real life, like what their depiction of it would be on real life. So, it's an ambitious thing to turn into a live action if they do. Yeah. But God, it was an ambitious game to begin with how big that world was and how expansive. And Forbidden West is almost, I want to say, like 3 times the size of the original. So there's much more to expand. Yeah, it's big. And you can swim in this one like a lot. There's a lot more swimming because you can actually go and breathe underwater after a certain point. So you can like deep dive into some certain areas because you're going to the coast. So you got the whole ocean out there. There's a fucking island you got to swim to at one point. So it's cool. And it expands well. And I'm really impressed. I was really impressed with the first one. I'm starting to get revitalized by Forbidden West with what they did. So would recommend to anyone and everyone.
Yeah. Great pick. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've spent an hour on that, let's not spend an hour on what what do you got, Wolf? What do you got, bud?
Can I make a recommendation before we
hit me?
Say our games.
Yeah.
Given the history we have with challenge runs, maybe those challenge points should be stretch goals instead of the actual, like,
agreed.
Battletoads Warpless, Street Fighter 6 Diamond.
Yeah,
this is all for Jake's.
I feel called out.
Accessibility.
Yeah.
Mario 1 Warpless. Come on.
Well, once again, my friends fucking told me to do it warpless.
See, I don't listen to any of you, so I beat my game.
We're trying to help you beat that game. If you use warps, you ruin the experience and you're never going to finish it. You need the lives.
Can I point out that anybody, the 2 people that got the most help had the most problems with their 2 games, but the 2 people that don't listen to anybody, Wolf and I, have beaten all our games.
Yeah, I'm seeing a trend here.
Look, I realize the games I picked have not been great for my gaming personality. I see my error, my mistake, my way. So you know what? I'll go first then, Jard. My game,
go for it.
My Sisyphean game for 2025 is Mario Paint. Okay.
I think. Wait.
Mario Paint.
Mario Paint.
Get the fuck out of here.
Jesus.
No, go whatever order you want, but I will be more sensible this year. I promise.
We'll see about that.
Drawing dinosaurs.
You got 12 months, baby.
Mine's
drawing 65.
So I have decided it is fucking time.
Oh shit, he's doing it. You got a lot of versions of that.
I do. That's why it's time. I have 4 copies.
You're gonna play all 4 of those?
No. I'm gonna play it on Steam, which I don't have in my hand.
Because that really opens up after about 500 hours.
For the audio listeners,
I
what
think
game
I
did you
have
pick?
the most.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12.
There you go.
Yeah, I think
Now,
I
for
have
the
the most
record-
hours on Steam for Final Fantasy 12. I think that's my
For the
top
record,
hour
yeah,
game.
there were 2 PS2 copies here. One was given to me by a friend when he got rid of his PS2 collection. So,
Right.
but yeah,
I had
PS2,
that steel, I had that
PS4,
steel can.
and Switch.
Okay,
And I'm
so
gonna finally-
explain your goal. Like, are you
My
just
goal is
doing
to
main
just
story?
actually-
Or are you doing the
Penance run?
weapons? Are you doing,
Wasn't Penance 10?
Isn't it 12?
Yeah, 10. It's 10.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
Okay.
10.
Okay.
But
all right.
I
like
do think
there's
12 does has some sort of challenge thing.
well
in it.
there's
Okay.
probably the Omega weapon and all of that, right? I mean, so
Wolf, I got you, buddy. If you need anything,
I don't
got
need
you.
to get mine out.
Oh, you got it. Okay, you're good. You're covered.
but I mean you're just doing main game. You're not stretch goal may be the weapons and the other things that you can do in addition, right?
Yeah. So my goal, this was another casualty to World of Warcraft.
There's a lot in this
But I
game.
really
don't think
enjoyed what I played of this. I
Yeah.
probably put about 10 hours into it.
Mhm.
And I never left the desert
Hmm.
outside of Rabanastra.
you probably got to the I'm Captain Bosch part, and you're like, fuck this, and turn it off.
No, it wasn't that. It was literally like I just really enjoyed all the little side missions and stuff. And I was trying to grind and get money for some goodies before I advanced. So I was so enjoying the game mechanically that I never moved on with the story past that first part.
Nice.
And so, like, I want to actually experience the game, but I know I love the mechanics. And the only thing I find weird, I fired this up the other day, is a number of characters look related.
Could be.
And
Incest is a
it's
hallmark of
Final Fantasy, Star Wars.
like you got Balthier and Bosch and like all these other characters, they don't look anything alike. Penelo, but then you get like Vaughn and Rex. Okay, fair. They're brothers, right?
Right.
Oh, why do they look just like the prince and his wife?
That's
The
anime,
prince and his
though.
wife.
Yeah.
At the
Well,
very beginning of the game, they look at each other, and I'm like,
Is-
they look the same.
is it a Game of Thrones issue where like you're your own aunt or something?
I
Could
don't
be.
know. So
Could
it's
be.
a little off-putting in that regard, but otherwise, like I'm really excited to finally play this game. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to get through the opening tutorial, which
Yeah.
tends to be a case with, post 2000 Square Enix games in
Yeah.
general.
Yep. Yeah.
I've done it before, so I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. But I just need to actually, this is one of those games where I have to not get held up on side quests and actually progress.
And there are a ton.
Well,
the hunts on there, the Eidolons, all that shit. There is so much stuff to do in that game.
Yeah.
A lot.
And you could treat it like Chard and I did, where it was like go do a couple side quests and then go do the main quest for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then come back and do some side quests. If you want to go for
That would be the smart way to do it. But my brain is like, no, I want to be as powerful as possible for the next area.
Wolf, I love you.
yeah.
That's
I'm not
12
walking through
is-
this area.
12 is one of the ones with the better storylines in the franchise, right? I think isn't 12 the one that everybody raves about because it's
Well,
that medieval.
People hated it.
Yeah,
Really?
this one's not
They
bad.
said it was
No, this
Oh.
is really good. Yeah. This is
Okay.
based
Yeah.
off of Tactics. This is the same world that
Yeah, it's in-
Tactics takes place in.
Okay.
it's
the
it's in
bunny
an
girls.
alternate reality Evilise.
But it's
right.
the same. Evilise is
It's
still,
Evilise, yeah.
right.
But yeah,
yeah.
it's very steampunky Evilise. So it
It's-
seems like a
it's
little bit more
literally-
technologically advanced.
It's
than
Final
Tactics
Fantasy
games.
Star Wars. It's the same characters. You've got Van as Luke Skywalker, Balthier as Han Solo, the fucking bunny chick is Chewbacca. She's just hotter. I'm not kidding you. It's
Friend?
the same thing. You got Princess Leia as the main, what's her face or whatever. You've got it's lit, and you're fighting the Empire. That's what you're doing.
Right.
So all the judges are all fucking Sith Lords. It's the same fucking thing. Balthier is the only one with a flying machine. Sounds familiar. It's very much very Star Wars in that sense.
That's no moon.
It's a space station.
It's Chocobo.
Fucking crazy. And it's no moon. It's a Chocobo.
That was the biggest complaint I always heard about Final Fantasy 12 was, oh, the story's too political.
It's very political.
Did you not play Final Fantasy 6? Did you not play Final Fantasy 7? Did you not play Final Fantasy 8? They're
I think
all
the biggest
politics.
thing,
you're just old enough now to recognize it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, that's what
I think
it is.
the biggest thing about 12 is that a lot of the games throughout Square's history has your Clouds, your Squalls, your Terras, your Cecils, all that stuff. This game has characters, but the game is more focused on the environment of the politics, the Empire, who you're fighting, all the judges and all that stuff. There's like more deeper connection with the enemies and what they're doing than the actual main characters. So a lot of people did not find them relatable. And it was almost, I think Vaughn, excuse me if I'm wrong on this, you can come attack us over at Discord, pressb2cancel.com, pressb.org. You can tell us how wrong I am on this, but Vaughn was kind of a last minute add into the game. He was not necessarily going to be one of the main characters, and there's kind of shoehorned his ass in there to make someone a little more relatable. And at the same time, he's not. It falls flat. So everybody loves Balthier because Balthier is cool as fuck because he's Han Solo. He's the same fuck. He's a smuggler. He's got a gun. He flies a ship. He's a badass. He's a badass.
He shoots first.
Yeah, he wears a vest. Yeah, he asks questions later. No bounty hunter can get away from him. But I mean, everybody likes him because he's basically Han Solo. That's essentially his character in the role. But they don't give you a lot to like go on with these characters. You're like, Fawn's an orphan with Penelope. Yay. Or Penelope or whatever the fuck her name is. Yay. Okay. That's it. So we're like, they're orphans, so we don't have to give them a background because they don't even know where the fuck they're from. So you're like, that's cool.
What I get here is you're really selling this game.
It's not a bad game. It's not. It's huge.
So the werewolf wants to play it. You're selling this.
You don't understand though. Like when they talk of games like this where there actually feels like there's some big thing like that, I dig it. The political intrigue and all that. I mean, West Wing is one of my favorite shows. I love that shit.
Yeah.
So... This would definitely be a wolf thing because it is very much centered around what's going on around you as opposed to you affecting it. Like you are affecting it, but it's still more geared towards what the Empire is doing as opposed to we're going to go stop somebody from destroying the world. It's more like everything's fucked and we're going to do our best to get through it.
Right.
But we're not going to relate with the characters at all. So 11 is good, or 12 is good. It's a good game. It's not my favorite, but the ending was pretty good. And I'll tell you what, I was so underleveled when I beat that game that there's a reaction of me screaming at the top of my lungs, beating that boss in my startup video because I had been on that guy. I was stuck on that guy for probably 2 fucking days. So go in, make sure you're overpowered. Make sure you're overpowered. You'll probably walk through the end and be like, I don't know what the problem was. I kicked the Undying's ass. I don't know what your big deal is. I'll be like, fucking.
People used to also make fun of the license system in this. And I mean, it is kind of funny that you have to like research how to wear a hat, right? On its face, that's pretty funny. Like, do I put this on my butt? No, you don't.
So it's
put it on your butt to find out that's not what you do with it.
It's that episode of Futurama where the monkey that has the hat that makes the monkey smart, and when he takes it off, he accidentally puts it on his butt.
Yeah.
Like I got a 2-year-old. When I show my 2-year-old snaps and buttons, it's mind blown time, man. You got to learn from the ground up somewhere. Buckles are hard.
We're building a foundation, people.
Yeah, you see how many buckles and zippers are on their clothes in this game? It makes sense. You got to learn how to use that stuff.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's funny.
But
I think the Zodiac Age plays it a little bit differently in the licensing. So I think it's slightly
a little
different.
bit. It limits the trees Like once you
Right.
go through a branch, I think
Makes it
it
easier.
cuts it off
I
for
think.
other characters.
I like
and
the
stuff.
Zodiac Age. I thought that was
Um,
pretty good.
But like one of the things about this is I liked the gameplay a lot, and it is very much a lot like Final Fantasy 11 on its face.
It's a single player
and-
MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I like to describe it. Is like Final Fantasy. It plays like Final Fantasy 11, but you don't have to deal with all the other idiots. Just you.
Just you idiot.
Yeah.
It's whatever you program them to do.
Yeah,
Cool.
like
right.
any mistakes they made, those are mine. It's
I
all
did
me.
that. That's me. I did that. That's my fault. Perfect. All right. Hey, I
Nice.
wish you the best of luck on that adventure. That's gonna be a huge chunk of change. I hope you enjoy it, dude. I really do. For sure.
I'm sure I will. I just need
Awesome.
It's finally
And pardon me if I don't mean to shit talk it. That was not my intentions. I was just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
explain why
it's-
people didn't like it. So
Shitting on
Okay.
people's favorite games is what we do here, Chard. That's brand. So
only
Only my
from people that
picks.
drink
Yeah.
milk out of a bag. Sinistar, what is your what is your game of the year?
So I got really frustrated this year, and I am picking Super Mario Brothers 1,
Fantastic. He's going back.
and I'm going to beat 8 too.
Gotta be back in time.
No, honestly, I had a really hard time picking a game this year. And what's funny is until I think yesterday, every single game on my list is what I would call modern. I argued with myself whether I wanted to play Baldur's Gate 3, whether I wanted to play Mass Effect, the collection, whether I wanted to play Cyberpunk. And then yesterday, and we're recording this, so yesterday was December 19th. Somebody gifted me a game that is a retro game, but it's a reskin, but you can actually go and play it as the retro game. So instead of picking 4 games and saying I'm going to do 4 games, I'm picking a game with some honorable or with some stretch goals. Okay, so the game I am picking is Cyberpunk 2077
Oh,
Great.
shit, okay, cool.
very
with
good.
the DLC.
Nice.
And my goal is I'm not going to get every ending, but I'm going to get at least a good ending.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go run through and just get the like bad ending and call it good enough, right?
Right.
I'm going to get a good ending, and then I'm going to also play the DLC. And I don't know if there are extra endings in the DLC or not, but go
I don't
for an
think so.
ending. To
Oh,
I
there
don't
is
remember
extra
it.
endings in the DLC, but I think it's fine to just beat it and go Google them
Okay.
and look them up afterwards.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So was this my first episode with Press B before I was a host?
Before you joined, yeah.
It
was-
was.
It was, yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
I
So
didn't realize you didn't beat it.
my
So-
claim to fame is I was on the Cyberpunk 2077 episode before I was a host in this podcast. And so like that's part of the driver is I felt bad thinking about it. I'm like, I did the Cyberpunk episode and raved about this game. Now I don't know how many hours I have. I'd have to look it up. I own it on GOG, so I can't look it up on Steam. But
Sinistar's resume was so good that he got hired to play a job he's never done before in his life.
that's right. That's right. But anyway, so that's really kind of the driver. Now my stretch goal is 2 additional games. So the stretch goal is Horizon Zero Dawn because I want to understand that story because I actually avoided like I had Chard in my background so I could hear him say Sinistar blah 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 and I would like my ear would perk up and I would like come back and because I didn't want to ruin that story.
Yeah.
So I still don't know the story to Horizon Zero
Good.
Dawn. So that is my first stretch goal. My second stretch goal is the game that was gifted to me yesterday, which is Wizardry, the remake of Wizardry by Digital Eclipse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Digital
That's a
Eclipse.
lot of
man.
goals.
They did a lot of good work on that game for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah,
will say,
I-
Cyberpunk, glad you're going to finally play it, much like The Witcher. I think Cyberpunk 2077 is a fantastic game, especially now that they've ironed out all the issues that we've had over launch. That is a much different game now than it was at launch. And that
Oh, that's
DLC,
so
Phantom
good.
Liberty, is I have not beaten the
So
DLC,
good.
but it was really good, right? The casting, the storyline.
Idris Elba, the DLC.
He's good. Yeah, it's a great story. That's an awesome one to play.
My favorite is the discussion between Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba and him going, wait until you see the mod community.
Right. The IRL.
Yeah.
Where he's
what
like,
do I do about that?
he's like, you realize how people are going to mod your character, right?
Thank you,
It's
Mod
funny how
Nexus.
Idris Elba got pulled into Cyberpunk, and then Keanu got pulled into Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
They must talk. They must.
Right.
They must. Facebook message.
They must
each
be
other.
friends. They have to be friends.
So
Like-
yeah, so my real goal is Cyberpunk 2077 plus the DLC.
Smart.
If I can make
Cyberpunk's
the
a
extra.
great finish. That's another hefty game, dude. That's another Witcher. I mean, there's less DLCs in that than The Witcher, but
Yeah.
I remember the main game being relatively, once I knuckled down, it felt like it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. But there's so much to frickin' do in that game that you could play it for
I got the
hours.
bad ending, and I still think I put a solid 70 hours plus into that game, and that's with the bad ending. Like it is.
I don't even know
long.
I don't remember what ending I had.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
But
I
gorgeous.
somehow stumbled onto the good ending. I think I glitched something because there was something you were supposed to do that I didn't, and I still got the good ending.
Nice.
But oh man, I loved Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I have a
I'm
strong
pretty sure I
132
streamed that.
hours into this game.
You streamed a
What?
bunch of it.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, because you had Sam Keaton or Family Ties dude, I think.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
Stevie Keaton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just happened to make him look like that. I was like, he looks like Steven Keaton. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we got Bat Justice too. Bat Justice came
Yeah.
from Cyberpunk.
And I mean,
There's
I
also
have
Badass Ninja.
yes. I have a lot of hours in this game, and I'm looking forward to especially like some of the taxi quests, right?
Yeah.
The
like
Delroy or
Delroy, yeah. Or Della, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking
Delamain
forward to
or something.
Delamain. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to a lot of the replay of this, especially now that I'm not going to have like characters that I have to interact with glitch outside of the area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a game
I
too
gotta
where you don't
say-
want to do all the side quests. You just want to just play through casually and explore the world as you go. You don't want to do everything.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of game. Just enjoy the ride as it takes you.
What were you going to say, Wolf?
I gotta say, I so loved the initial broken version of this game
Sure.
that I went back. I went online and found an old GOG installer because I bought it on GOG, but they didn't let me download the old version. So I had to go digging around online and find the 1.0 installer so that I could have that broken version. Because someday I'm gonna want to go back and play that broken ass version again.
Yeah.
And-
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm looking at my game time. I have 164 hours in this game.
Nice.
Jesus Christ. I'm sitting here at 132 thinking, good God, but everybody's going to beat me at their times.
I'm honestly surprised GOG tracks that, but that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I need to look, but no, my first playthrough, like day 0 that it dropped, right? I'm playing, you're in that first main building and you're shooting your way out, right? And there's an elevator that you have to kill the guard and get his key card. And I shoot him out of the wall. Like I'm staring at his corpse. I'm in the elevator, like pressed up against the glass. Like, can I have your key card, please?
I saw the video of Wolf and like, dude was floating in that same elevator or some shit. There was something wrong with him.
Yeah.
Like he was half in the elevator and then he died when he got to the bottom. So he had to restart or something.
Yep.
Yeah, this was so much fun with the glitches for me. There was a point
yeah.
where I was just like ramping off of pedestrians like 50,
Yeah, you
60
told me
feet
that,
into the air.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely a game you want to save multiple slots in. Even today, I would save multiple slots.
It
You
was-
just never know.
Yeah, I think I have video of it somewhere of this one guy that I accidentally I killed him as he was trying to get out of his car to kill me. And he just stayed possessed in his car. So his body fell out and then the car started following me around.
Right.
I loved how broken this game was. I know people were pissed about it because they were like, I expected a polished game. But damn if a good broken game isn't a blast sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
If you go in knowing that you're going to get an experience where things just going to go sideways from time to time, inexplicably, it's so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Those are good
Yeah,
calls. I like
thanks.
both of those. All three of those. Those are going to be good picks.
Yeah.
So, all right. Jake, besides Mario Paint, what's your stretch goal?
Well, okay. I guess we'll make Mario Paint my stretch goal.
Fly swatter.
That's a tough one. Almost a Souls-like. No, do you guys remember the very first game you guys played on Steam? You remember?
Yes, I do. I do. remember.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah, it was Left 4 Dead.
Was it really?
And
Okay.
mine was in the orange box. So I think
Same.
we're headed down that path.
The reason I have Steam is because of this damn game, and I was really reluctant to download.
You never
it.
beat Portal?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't.
So here's the thing. Yeah, I think we're on the same page. So Steam came out in 2003. That's a wild time ago, and this game came out a year later. And I remember, I mean, today you ask anybody who owns PC and is a PC gamer. I mean, hell, we all own Steam decks. Everybody loves Steam in 2024. Everybody's loved Steam for at least a decade or more. It's revered for how great it is for PC gaming. But in 2003, it was not as well liked, and I remember hating the fuck out of Steam, and the idea of buying games digitally made me physically sick. And when I saw this game, which is Half-Life 2, got released, I insisted I'm not going to download Steam. I'm going to buy a physical copy as nature intended. So I went my ass to the store and got a box, and I brought it home. And when I opened the box, what was inside? I think there's a code. Yeah, there's a code. And even if you have a disc, the worst thing at the time was when you install the game via Steam, it had to do an unlocking thing. And it took all day not to download, just to unlock the files. It was like a anti-DRM thing, which is funny because nowadays Steam DRM is like nothing. It's the first thing that gets cracked in the way it goes. Nobody cares. But back then, it was a pain in the ass to get around. It was so slow. I hated it. But I did want to play this game, which is Half-Life 2. I never played the first Half-Life. I only played the second one because the first game was before I was a PC gamer. But the first impressions of Half-Life 2 is, my God, the graphics are amazing. And I've played this game a few times over the years, or tried to. And my first thing is the texture work still holds up 20 years later.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Like the high-res textures are amazing.
Updates to it, too.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I'm picking it. It just recently got a surprise update a couple weeks ago for, I guess, the 20th anniversary.
Like 20th anniversary, yeah.
Yeah, and they added the DLC. The episodes were bundled in with it as well. So it's one complete package. And, I mean, I spun up on the Steam Deck. Runs great on the Steam Deck. Shocker, 20-year-old game. But it looks great more.
A Valve game runs good on a Steam Deck?
Yeah, I know, right?
What are the odds? So... This is a game where when I first played it at release, I did enjoy it, but I felt it was a little linear and maybe a little bit too much on the rails. And at the time, I was more of a,
linear.
Yeah, but at the time, I was more like into Deus Ex and Elden Ring and not Elden Ring, Elder Scrolls games, which are more open. At the time, I appreciated the open world type games. So when it was on the rails, it kind of got on my nerves and wasn't something I was into. But nowadays, I don't want to play a 100-hour game. I don't want to bang my head against the wall for 200 hours. I'm done with that right now. I want a game I can sit down, has a great experience, a great ride for 10, 20 hours, and then I'm good. And that's what I think Half-Life 2 is. The farthest I got, I think, was I remember doing the hydrofoil thing where you're going, and that was the part that kind of killed it for me, where you're going through the canals. And as cool as the physics puzzles were, it wasn't enough for me, so I gave it up. But I want to go back to it. I think I would really dig it to play it today. So I think this is one I definitely want to play. And I'm just going to do the combined anniversary package that came out. So that includes episodes 1 and 2, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm fine doing that together.
Nice.
I love this game. Portal 2. Portal 2. I love Portal 2 as well. Half-Life 2. So I played Half-Life 1, and I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, there's probably a little lore that you may miss, but I thinking
The
back
free
on
man.
it, well,
The free man.
and the thing is Half-Life 2, you get the whole free man thing, right? Like, so don't worry about that at all. You're good to play just Half-Life 2. I am looking forward to discussing with you that no one goes to Ravenholm.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
one goes to Ravenholm.
Yeah. That's a great game.
And then the progression of the weapon that you have. I am looking forward to talking about that as well. It is absolutely linear. It is 100% linear. You're not going to struggle to be like, where do I go?
Where do I go?
It's literally like, oh, there's a wall in my way. That's not the way to go. Like it's so but it is a very cool story. Someday we may get a Half-Life 3.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
no, I honestly still feel like it's worth playing even without a Half-Life 3. So
yeah. Half-Life Alyx is the closest thing we're going to get to that at this point, which is a fantastic VR game. Speaking of VR and Half-Life 2, there is a Half-Life 2 VR mod that is super polished, like
Really?
surprisingly really well done. I popped it on during one of my weekends off, and I was walking around in the VR world, going through the Combine, being
that's
like,
awesome.
holy shit, dude. I mean, it's
That's
still,
awesome.
it's not going to look as good as Half-Life Alyx, right? It's Half-Life 2.
Right.
But even so, movement, grabbing, all that stuff was still very, very, there was a lot of articulation and shit that I did not think was going to be possible in a VR mod. I thought it was some hokey thrown together bullshit. It's really well done. So,
And I want to call out one more thing, and that is when you said to us that this was the game you were playing, I had a visceral response. I heard the like you hear that all the time in the game, and then I heard the stupid camera drones.
yep. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
oh yeah.
Yep.
I was like,
Yeah.
visceral
Can't wait.
response. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Like that
Nice.
opening with City 17 where the doctor's on the screen giving the propaganda speech. Just the world building just from that is enough for me. And yeah, like I'm fine not playing the first one. Maybe I will eventually. I know there's a fan mod for the first game that looks pretty solid, but
yeah, Black Mesa.
Yeah, but I know from the little I played of it originally, it was fine without the first game, and I'm looking forward to that ride. So more of the experience to go through it, and then like play it now because I think they might have Half-Life 3 within the next 5 years. So I want to be able to play that when it comes out. So I want to play this one first.
Nice. Good pick. Wolf?
See, this is a game that I wanted to try and play back when, and I played it. So I bought the orange box used on the 360 back then. And absolutely loved Portal. And I was like, all right, let me try this Half-Life game. And boy, did I dislike that one. I gave it an hour and a half, and I was just like, this is just why? And I went and returned it.
Really? Okay.
Because I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. And because I bought it used GameStop. So I was like, I'll return it.
Shit.
Got something else. I don't remember what I got, but I have never gone back to play Half-Life since. I just didn't do it for me. I didn't see what all the hubbub was, so walked away.
Well, I played. I actually, sorry, I bought the orange box because I played the original Team Fortress, like the Quake mod.
Right.
I played the hell out of that, and then all of a sudden, Team Fortress 2 is in the orange box, right? And then I got gifted with Portal, the fucking sleeper, right? That is Portal, and then of course Half-Life 2. Anyway,
yeah. My friend, my childhood friend that I grew up with, the guy that played Diablo all the time, he had Half-Life 1, and we played that shit fucking religiously because we loved first-person shooters growing up. We played, Doom and Heretic and Hex and all that stuff. So it was just another one, Rise of the Triad, like those games. We played all of those first-person shooters. We loved them. And then Half-Life 2 was just Half-Life 1 was just part of that. And then I read all the development of Half-Life 2 and the facial reconstruction and them actually using people's faces and having expressions and shit. I mean, that was the first time we had seen something like that in a game when we were used to seeing 007 mods look like fucking nothing. Like the face of the guards in 007 were ridiculous looking, right? So when this came out, man, I was such a homer for Half-Life and loved playing it. I love where it took me. I love the first person aspect of the whole thing. And this is a cool game. And it hurts that Wolf hates it so much or doesn't care for it so much. It's so good. And I wish I could explain to him why it's so
well.
good.
I wish he could play it just for the weapon progression, like your transport gun, whatever it's called, like the progression of that.
The gravity gun,
the gravity gun is so fucking epic. Like I look forward to hearing Jake be like, oh, it blah blah, I just got to this part where it's doing this. Like
and it's not the same now because back then we didn't have physics. There wasn't a lot of physics in games, so we couldn't. When you pick something up and fire it and it cracks the boards in half and they fall, you're like, what the fuck? Like there's so much environmental destruction that we hadn't had in that time. So it was like, dude, I'm interacting with so much. I know it was linear, but it felt very open with everything you could do. The physics puzzles, like you said, Jake.
I remember playing fetch with the robot for the one sequence, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is cool. I may not care for the game, but that's pretty awesome. And you're right, like when you're stacking boxes for the first time to climb up to a ledge with the gun and stuff, that was like the first time I had played something like that in a game on PC. So there's definitely an impact of this game had on everything afterwards. So it's nice to go back and play it the way it was, especially when it still looks really good. Like I'm amazed the textures are as good as they are. And, plus, Skibbity Toilet is based on Gary's mod, which is based on Half-Life. So this is kind of keeping it real with the children, as they say, right? So
on God, is that what they say? I don't know. I don't know what they say anymore.
They say yeet. I know they say yeet.
There's a lot of yeeting. Oh, fuck. I'm trying to think of anything they might say. Anyways, that's cool. That's a good pick. I'm happy that you're stepping up to give that one a roll, and look forward to joining you on that journey, however you decide to display it for the rest of us, whether it's by vocally telling us how cool it is or streaming it on Discord or, excuse me, posting videos of it.
I forgot my stretch goal is going to be that I'm going to do a deathless and no warps. That's what I was going to do.
No warps.
Forgot.
No warps in 8-2. Perfect.
I didn't think to throw my stretch goal out there. I think my stretch goal is going to be Castlevania Order of Ecclesia.
Okay.
Because that's one I've been wanting to play through for ages, and I just kept getting stuck on the DS. So now that I have it on Steam Deck, I'm like, I will do it now.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so I guess I'll round up the bottom here, the back half. I'll bookend this the Sisyphean and let the boulder roll down on top of me. So I was very much up in the air about should I do retro. I've done a lot of modern. I've been modding. Horizon Zero Dawn, Bloodborne. I guess Doom 3 would be considered retro. So I wasn't all modern type games. But speaking of Doom 3, there's another game in the series that I have been itching to finish. And I've been telling myself I'm going to do Days Gone, because it's a great game and I keep spinning off at the same spot. I was going to do a zombie excite bike, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what I really would like to do is I'd like to finish Doom 2016. And I know I did Doom a year ago before Horizon Zero Dawn, but I feel like we need to complete Doom 2016. So I am going to stream Doom 2016 on my Twitch channel when we get back from vacation, and it's the new year 2025, and we're going to roll through that after I'm done with Dead Space and any other projects that I have lined up after that. Then as a stretch goal, I was going to make it part of the deal, but I want to stretch goal this because you know what happens. We don't all want to uninstall and reinstall and uninstall something. So
oops, it's December.
Exactly. I'm going to follow it up with Doom Eternal right after that. So I'm going to play Doom 2016, stretch goaling into Doom Eternal, and then guess what comes out next year, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. Doom Dark Ages will be hitting the shelves at some point. I don't know when. I'm kind of hoping that I line this thing up just right, that when we're done with that, we can stretch goal into Doom Dark Ages and have a whole year of Dooming. So that should be a lot of fun. It's like, what do they say? They say it's like a survival horror game, but the aliens are trying to survive and you're the horror.
Right.
So
right.
I'm very excited to finally get into this and focus on solely this game, Because the problem with Doom is that there's so much going on around me, is that I just get fucking like overstimulated. I turn it off because there's a lot going on. So if I'm not doing anything and I'm streaming it for you guys, I think I can complete it like I've done everything else. So that's the plan.
I think what's going to happen is I'm just going to chase Chard, because I have also played 2016 Doom and I have not completed it. So who knows, maybe next year that'll be my Sisyphean.
There you go.
You know,
No,
the thing
honestly,
there you go.
the difference between Doom 3 and Doom 2016 is 2016 is actually a good game. So,
well, yeah, and they also have tape.
Yeah,
I loved every bit of 2016. That soundtrack is epic. Mick Gordon did such a good job with that soundtrack. Like, if they do Doom Dark Ages with Mick Gordon doing the soundtrack, I'll just buy it day one. Like,
right.
You know,
I mean, and remember, guys, what do I like to feel in any game I play? Like a fucking badass.
Yeah.
And you certainly, Doom guy makes you feel like a fucking badass right out
dude,
the gate.
The minute you get a quad damage and it's quad damage, you're just like,
and you're just murdering everything with your bare hands.
And the music kicks into that. Yeah, you're just like, oh, yeah.
This is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to take everybody along on the ride with me. So Doom 2016, followed by Doom Eternal. And then if we land on the right day, Doom Dark Ages will bookend that whole experience. And then I was thinking about stretch goaling into Castlevania 3, because that was one that I've been mulling over in my head of trying to finish. It's one of the few Castlevanias I have not finished yet, but I'm leaving that for how I feel after I'm done with all the Doom stuff. I might need something mellow after fucking 3 Doom games. That might be quite good.
Right. You're
gonna
play
several mellow, casual, friendly games for you.
I know. You're gonna make me play that fucking Nicky game or whatever.
Or you're gonna go play like Where's Waldo on the NES.
Where's Waldo? Infinite Nicky.
I'm
gonna do Fashion Show.
Yeah.
Stupid. Anyways, so Doom is how we're going. So I think that's a good roundup for Sisyphean Final and Sisyphean Start, guys. So let's go ahead and get to that hill and start pushing that boulder up and see how far we get this year, and see if there's going to be any more Wheel of Pains. Luckily, we didn't have a Wheel of Pain this year. We all completed our tasks at hand.
It's great because the wheel's broke.
365. Yeah, those damaged right now.
We talked about this. I think we want to challenge our community to pick something too and do that.
Let's dive a little deper into that.
I mean our community should pick Sisyphean games and report back.
Less on Discord.
Pick a Sisyphean game, and I can pronounce that, I swear. And update us on it in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, join us. Find a game that you haven't finished, you bounced off of, and join us on this little ride. This is fun. This game that we play with all of each other is one of the more fun, exciting things we do every year. Like, I look forward to it every end of the year to be like, I like Game of the Year and I love Sisyphean. These are like my 2 favorite episodes that we do every year. So, and then of course any game that I'm gushing about at the time. So with that, I think that's an episode, guys. So we'll go ahead and do all the plugs. Of course, you find us again over at pressb2cancel.com as well as pressb.org. We're also part of the SuperPod Saga podcast group. You can find us over at superpodsaga.com.
No.
Jake?
SuperPod Network.
SuperPod Network. God damn it. One of these days I'll get it right. It's still new to us. You can find us over at SuperPod Network with a bunch of other fantastic podcasts that also talk about all kinds of really cool subjects, including gaming.
In Char's
movies,
defense,
books, all kinds of shit.
He had to learn our website too. So
I did.
Yes.
We had to open a website because I said it wrong. So it's
somebody go have Aaron buy superpodsaga.com.
Don't worry. This will probably be the last episode I do with you guys too. So you can find us all those places. Of course, you can find us at Pressb Discord. Come and tell us how we're wrong. Tell us how terrible we are. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We love our likes. We love our subscribes. Comment on the videos. What did we say wrong? What did we didn't say wrong? Why is Half-Life 2 the greatest game ever created? Why is Doom 2016 the dumbest thing you've ever heard of someone playing? Tell us, please. Tell us all about it. All the subs that we get are great. They're free, and it helps us grow this channel because that's what we're trying to do. We're hoping that 2025 continues to be an upward climb for us because we've been doing some really cool shit for the last year of 2024. And we want to thank everybody who's been here with us. I know this is a pre-recorded, but thank you all the people that come and sit down and watch us, all the people that have started to listen to us, new and old. We appreciate every single one of you. We're going to be back probably around the new year or after the new year. So, of course, with that, whatever holiday you celebrate during this time, I hope it is a fantastic one. I hope it is a safe one. I hope you have a great time with your family, or if you don't like your family, by yourself and have a wonderful time, either playing games, reading the book, or listening to music, do whatever the hell you want to do. If there's nothing else that needs to be said by anybody else, Jake, what are you up to? Can they find you anywhere? You got anything going on? You have something coming up, don't you?
I do, but I want to talk about it this week because I don't know when this episode comes out. So I am going to be doing something. So follow me over at Sick Jake over on YouTube, or just follow me Sick Jake over on B Sky. I'm all in on that Blue Sky. I find it's a fantastic place to do your social media. I'm so done with Twitter. Or follow me over on YouTube. Yeah.
Perfect. Sinistar, what are you up to?
So I do the DJ thing as DJ Spinistar on Twitch. I join my buddy Soul Archaic pretty regularly. As far as what's going on, other than that, I'm still unpacking. We're almost done getting our house ready to sell, but I have an itch. To do some tabletop RPG gaming. So I'm reading through the rules for Starforged Ironsworn, because I want the space aspect, but Ironsworn is pretty cool. So I'm probably going to be seeing if Jake has a few hours a week to, do some tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
Cool.
And others if you're interested.
And Werewolf, what do you got going on? Anything you want to tell the folks out there?
I don't have any games I've been playing really, because I did just finish Okami a couple weeks ago, and I've not really started anything new. But I am going to jump right into Final Fantasy 12 pretty quick here. If not in the next 2 weeks from recording this episode, then definitely by early January.
Fantastic.
I will have kicked that off. Otherwise, I ripped through at Sinistar's recommendation the We Are Legion, We Are Bob book trilogy, and I'm
the Bobiverse.
Like, yeah, I am 3/4 through book 4, which is substantially longer than any of the other books. So
nice.
That is a fantastic.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, fantastic series. It's kind of hardcore sci-fi. Like, it's all based on very nearly realistic physics. Like, they do a good job trying to make sure everything's realistic, and it's one of the coolest stories ever about space travel and all of that happy horse shit.
Yeah, Sinistar got my wife into that book series too. Yeah. She's been reading that. They were
nice
book clubbing it together for quite a while, so that was kind of cool. And of course, you can find me here at Press B to Cancel every Friday, as many Fridays as I can get my dumbass in here and hanging out with these 4 to 5 wonderful human beings. You can catch me over at Twitch, www.twitch.tv/Chardmonk. We are currently doing a Felice Navi Dead Space playthrough, but unfortunately, it will not be Felice or Navi Dead by the time I get back from my family vacation. But we'll button that up pretty soon. We also did a little Path of Exile 2, which is an episode that Jake and I will be premiering here at some point, if not already done. And that's been a blast. So go listen to that. Go hear Jake and I gush about Path of Exile, and then just go play it. It comes out free next year. So, but it's also kind of worth it. So outside of that, you can find me in you can find me over the X's, the Twitters, the Blue Skies, the YouTubes, everywhere. I'm all over the place. You just put in Chardmonk, and unfortunately, I pop up in a lot of places. So it's just like the black mold, right? I'm hard to breathe around, and I'm everywhere. So until then, guys, keep your bagged milk cool and have a wonderful holiday season. And we'll see you. Well, you'll see us, but we'll see you in a couple weeks. So until then, happy holidays and happy new year.
Han shot for